Welcome yet again to another episode of Women in Business. We're always delighted to have you. This is Kemchisha Doreen, and I'm delighted as well in this 2023 to have another episode with you. Now, Women in Business, very keen on the linkages to resources, very keen on the inspiring journeys of amazing women in Uganda and all over. And also we get to find out, scratch the surface and get underneath and find out who are these women, what are these systems doing, what is happening in our Uganda and all over the world actually. Is it helping you? Is it working for you? And then we bring along these other people in these chairs of power to actually give some insight. And on this particular episode, we have an amazing woman. One actually told me that she thinks of her as a fiery tiger. And she loves her. She's very passionate about what she does. And today, we are blessed, we are very honored to have Honorable Evelyn Anite. Welcome, Honorable.
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Smart TV and Madame Doreen.
Yes.
Kemigisha. I said that right. I'm so happy about that.
Yes.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone knows Honorable Evelyn Anite is the State Minister of Finance for Investment and Privatization. And she was also before State Minister for Youth. And she also stands in her capacity as wife, as mother, as businesswoman, as community member. She is a woman of many coats and many colors as well. Welcome to this episode, Honorable.
Thank you, Doreen.
Yes.
First of all, yes, what you only didn't mention about me is that I'm also a business facilitator. Mm-hmm. So I facilitate people's businesses, and sometimes I think that it's more like consultancy work. Mm-hmm. When the minister's job is completely different, you have to get other technocrats just the easy way. But then I changed it, revolutionized it, and made it to be like a private sector way of doing business. Mm. If anyone walks into my office and they need their business problem solved, I just don't say go to the next office. I actually take that business as my business and make sure that they succeed. Because
and the way you bring it out is different. It has a hint. It has a taste of mentorship, right?
Yes.
You're quite good at mentorship.
Yes.
Why do you feel you're inclined to have that mentorship aspect? Because most people just don't care. They just don't care. Like you come in with your problem and so what?
For me, it is the benefit it has for my country. I am very passionate about the development of Uganda and also job creation. Because as a young growing Ugandan, I saw the need to handhold other Ugandans because my hand was equally held by other older people to make me to be able to succeed. So I believe that when you handhold another person, you're not only handholding that one person, but you're having like 100 other people behind that person to be able to succeed and earn a living and be able to have a meal on their table. So because of that, I feel that I should do it, not just because I am the Minister for Investment, but because I am transforming a life of a Ugandan out there, and because I'm creating a job and then growing my economy to see the services that wherever I travel abroad, that I see countries having good roads, having good and sufficient electricity, having good internet services. I also want to see that in my country. Yeah. So the only way to do it is by working towards it.
And it's so weird that you bring that out because there's been quite a lot of discontent, a lot of words, negative words spoken, especially when you get out there with your feelers to the real Ugandan down there. Because most of the times we look at Rwanda, countries like Rwanda, and then there are other times when there are pictures, going viral, all these images of Kenya. And then you have all these viral verbal wars, the tweets, all this different thing on Facebook and that. And they say Uganda is not really growing as quickly as our neighboring countries. Is it true?
I think that's not right per se. It's just that we Ugandans, we have this whole thing of emphasizing and spending a lot of our energy on the negative than pushing out the positives. So yes, we're a developing economy, just like all the other economies around us. Around us, I mean in the East African region. But what do? They push the positive about the country more than the negative about the country. And so this is what I think that we Ugandans have to do. It's just about PR.
Learn.
We have to learn and start pushing out the positives that happen in our country. There's just quite a lot of good things that happen in our country.
Yes.
But then we'll see a small line. I have seen it. We'll go, the head of state is commissioning a factory, and I will tweet that.
Yeah.
I would get, if it is really trending that day, it would get like 1,000 likes, so like 100 likes.
Yeah.
That's when it has really trended
Done
and
well.
we've put. But in most cases, when I put a picture of myself and my husband kissing, ooh,
We'll talk about that as well.
that is going to trend the whole day. So
Yes.
I really know, I have tested the system and I've known what Ugandans like to concentrate their energies on. And I think that, yes, we are happy people. We are people who love to criticize. We're quick at jumping and criticizing. But then when the good comes, we really don't care. We're like, oh, okay, it has happened. So we need to turn that around. In as much as we have bad roads, that is true. In Kampala, even where I come from, there's these horrible roads. But then we also have excellent roads.
Yes.
Like the express highway, you just go through this
Yeah. It's true.
excellent road. You'll be like, wow, this is really nice. There are some roads in Kitgum, you're just driving off Gulu, you're going the other side. The road is well tarmacked and it's so nice. And this time I'm going to Kisoro and I'm seeing the way we're going, meandering via the hills. It's so exciting. That beauty, why don't we bring it out?
Do you think maybe because the number of tarmac roads are fewer in comparison to the others, so it's very difficult for someone to go, like someone said it once, jokingly, and said it's very difficult to concentrate when I'm literally bouncing up and down on a potholed road. So
No, that is for, let me tell you, Uganda has been linked from Koboko to Kotido, Kotido to Kisoro, from Kisoro to Chigezi, where you come from.
Yes.
The roads are tarmacked. The outside roads, don't go to the Tiringi road. Have you seen that
yes,
road?
yes, yes.
Very nice, classic tarmac road.
Yeah.
Running through, you don't even feel that. Yes, Kampala, the roads are bad. Agreed. We have to fix that. But as we, because yes, the number of people in Kampala during day going to 5 million people, I mean,
It's on the increase.
it's high, and so as you know, you do appreciate that this is a city. It has to look better than it is. But yes, we have also done something in the outskirts. But we will talk much about that. I think,
We tend to dwell on the negative.
yes, I think we have to say something positive about our country. We have our athletes, they go running, our guys, the Cheptegei,
Yes.
Kiprotich. You
Yes.
see them, but we will just, that very day, we will be excited.
And then after that, it dies down.
It dies down. And yet other countries, they will continue flagging it and rubbing it in your face, how they have the fastest citizen in the world. And they give themselves great names. They call themselves Great Britain. They call themselves the superpower. And they
Yes.
keep on insisting and calling themselves like that. And people believe. So we are the pearl of Africa. So we need to stretch that out and demonstrate how we are the pearl. We have a beautiful scenery. You imagine, this is the country where the longest river of the world is coming from, and that is River Nile. And do you know that the Americans, because we are not talking much about our river,
They don't know so much about it.
You know
They
what
think
they're
it comes
talking?
from Egypt.
no, they are saying the longest river in the world is river Amazon. So
Really?
they say it's the Amazon River. And I mean, for us, then we're going to keep quiet. Oh yeah, it's the Amazon River. And then they start a company with the name Amazon, and they're driving it from that river. So we have to talk more about that.
But I did some series recently on tourism, right? And it's so weird because we started bottom up, yes? Not top bottom, we started bottom up. And there's quite a lot of drive, especially in regards to tourism, yes? And most say there's quite a lot of hype, there's quite a lot of pride, there's quite a lot of joy coming from the lower part. You talked about all this, for example, when there's a sports win of one of the sportsmen, and you notice that most, especially the Europeans, keep on hyping it and hyping it, but you'll also notice that it's a concerted effort, yes? You have those who are very proud about it, but you also have the ministries coming up and really putting in place systems to ensure that this message continuously goes out and is used on billboards and is used on that. Now, within the tourism sector, according to the series that I did, there is quite a lot of discontentment because they say the ones at the grassroots, some of the guides, some of the pushers, some of these that are really, especially the youth, by the way, they have amazing products. They keep saying that they wish that this would actually be more streamlined at the top. There would be more or less more push, yes, from the top. Is that more or less the same bracket with investment? Seeing it come from the top, actually, and maybe there's down there, they're very clueless and they don't know what is happening. Do you think it's more or less?
I think for us on the top, the number one champion and promoter of investments and our country being His Excellency Yoweri Museveni, and then he appoints me, so I have a team behind me to work with. We've done a lot to ensure that we actually get Ugandans to get informed about the incentives that we have for them, the support that government has in place to get them do business, and how we want to feed them. I give an analogy of a cow. We are the owner of the cattle, and we have to feed this cattle so as to be able to milk it. And what am I trying to say? This is an investor whom we look at as the one who is going to give us taxes. And for us to get those taxes out of him or her, then we have to facilitate his business, and then he's able to give us, sell his goods and services, and then he's able to pay us taxes. But if we don't do that, then we are destined not to get any milk out of that cow, or not to get any taxes out of that taxpayer. So for me, it is my business to ensure that every business in this country succeeds, for the mere reason that I will be sure that jobs will be created, and I'll be sure that taxes will be paid, and then infrastructure of this country will be done.
Sometimes I wonder, I look at it basically from your standpoint, and then I look at it from Mama Nachi's standpoint, yes? Now, Mama Nachi down there, the woman, says that in most cases, most of the leaders, top management, they tend to be biased, because every time they see an Indian walking down below the park, every time they see scores of Indians, and we don't use the Indians loosely, but there are quite many elsewhere, not even just Uganda, but elsewhere, doing menial jobs or mundane jobs that Mama Nachi would do. She feels bad. She says, but what type of investor is this? Like, isn't there a limit to how much investment stops so that this can trickle down as well to the average Ugandan? Why is it that basically when you get into the supermarket, then it's a Chinese supermarket, whether it's a hardware, whether it's a fuel station, this supposed investor literally has a number of other supposed investors or workers that are all doing these jobs, and 1 or 2, 3 Ugandans, for example, the petrol stations that you get to see. So is the average Ugandan actually the Mama Nachis that we get to see? Are you even aware of them?
So now the Mama Nachis
yes.
of Uganda, they have moved from being Mama Nachis. They've moved to becoming investors.
Yeah.
How? We have given them free lands, we've given them tax incentives and non-tax incentives. If you go to Namanve Industrial Park right now, which is our biggest anchor industrial park, sitting at 2,200 acres, did you know that 90% of the investors there are the Mama Nachis? They are the owners of those factories. So it is shifting away from having FDI, foreign direct investment in the country, to getting Ugandans actually going to manufacturing.
Yes.
So the few are able to be spotted out because they're colored. And I mean, you cannot put red amidst black and you think that it will not come out, or yellow amidst black, or that you think that it should not pop out.
Yeah.
So it will be more visible because the color is screaming. And so you think that, oh, it is all what?
Yes.
Red.
Yes.
But that's not the case. So it is not true that majority of our investors in the country are actually foreign investors, or the Chinese, or the Indians, like you've said. No, majority of our investors are actually Ugandan investors.
Yes.
So yes, we've had to come up with regulations to ensure that we get the FDI, the foreign investor, to come and concentrate on jobs that Ugandans cannot do. For instance, we stopped giving them license to be able to trade because we saw that a number of them are going to petty trade, starting to do what you're saying that the Mama Nachi is supposed to do, selling chapati on the roadside. Now you cannot, selling maize on the roadside. That is petty trade, and that really has to be for the nationals. So we need to do two things here. We're looking at the gross domestic product, the GDP.
Yes.
Now there's the GNP. World over, people talk about the GDP more than the GNP. The GNP is the wealth of the nationals, only contributed by the nationals. The GDP is the wealth of the country in totality, whether it's national and foreign. So now the country's development is measured by the GDP. So every contribution, whether it is a foreign company or a Ugandan company, a foreign investor, but the company is in Uganda, that is a Ugandan company.
Okay.
It is a Ugandan company. So I really want my fellow citizens and friends to appreciate that. That, look here, you cannot develop your country alone. We appreciate that fact that we have to support our nationals. That's why you see us supporting. But when you support a national, they will stand, oh, why did you give them that money? Why did you support them?
Really?
Yes. We don't love ourselves that much. You have seen I've given a land to a Ugandan investor. Then they will start saying, he doesn't have the capacity. Why did you give the land to the person?
Really?
Yes.
On the contrary, Honorable, because most of the outcry is actually the opposite side. Yes, most actually wish, because yes, they want the investors to come in, but I think they want more supervision, more regulation, fixed regulation to ensure that actually these jobs that you talked about that are part and parcel of the package that is discussed are actually down on ground. Because I think it doesn't normally happen. That is what they say.
Did you know that we have come up with policies that for any investor who comes in the country, 70% of your top jobs, 70% have to be given to Ugandan nationals if you must get incentive from government. So that means that you're not going to give the Ugandan citizen the petty job. You have to give your top managers, 70% of them have got to be Ugandans. That's how we try to get them to actually give employment and quality employment to Ugandans. That's why we're seeing, initially it wasn't there, that's very true.
It's true.
We're just transiting because we eventually saw that. I mean, we are from a background of not having investment talked about and not looking at it as a valuable place to now talking about investment.
I think they used to think it was more or less foreign. Yes?
Exactly.
Foreign.
So now we've moved Ugandans who are into trade. I can mention their names. Ugandans like Mr. Yiga, they started as traders of steel bars, and they would go to China and bring and trade, or go to the roofings and buy and trade. But then they're now in manufacturing. Mr. Yiga, a Ugandan, Yiga, you can hear the name, Yiga. He's a Muganda, he's a Ugandan. He is now here doing what? Manufacturing steel and tube products, and I can assure you he has over 1,000 Ugandans he has employed there. Luca Plastics, this is a man from Luca.
Yes.
The Mulwanas, these are Ugandans. The Marianas.
It is not that Ugandans, and I say we Ugandans are not proud of those ones, the Mulwanas, all these, the late Mulwanas, the Mulwana family, and all the Yigas. We are so proud of that. I think it's more or less maybe aggressive marketing, aggressive supervision to ensure that some of these policies are in effect. Yes?
The policies are there.
And which are the
Everything is
best,
in
by the way?
effect. I can assure you we have to move away from lamentation and move to the book of actions, the book of acts. The book of lamentations will never help us.
That's a good one. Let's not lament a little bit. Let's have let's go to another book maybe. Let's go to another book. I would want to call it the book of Luke. Let's look at some of what is happening. But my Luke is not Luke.
Yes.
It's more the look with the eyes. I'll give you an example, and we can't negate that there are strides that have been made. Honestly, they're there. The ESF, actually, the Environmental Social Framework, and all the subsequent standards that come into play, always ensure that at least there's gender mainstreaming, that at least all these different, whether it's integrating the local population, making sure that there's participation, especially in infrastructure projects, is actually visible and it can be tracked and is there. But sometimes we get to wonder, especially when we are out on some of these infrastructure projects, whether there's actually any supervision happening. You noticed, you said that it is written that it's agreed upon that 70% has to be, and that is happening, especially I think in some of the communication firms and a couple of others. But you get to see, look at the oil industry, look at some of the other
We had to start the local content.
Yes, look at
the oil industry.
And it's good. And it's good. No one can negate it. Look at some of them. Yes, you have maybe 10 managerial positions, and you have Ugandans. But then you do have, the top, creme de la creme, because they call them that. And they are earning huge dollars. But the Ugandans, and we have tiers, are not really at par, per se. There is such a huge gap. And that is just at the top. When you come to midline positions, the gap is even wider. When it comes to the lower, there's quite a lot of exploitation. Look at the roads. What has been happening? All the works, not all, a couple of works whereby there have been, pregnancy scandals, where there have been all this. What about the supervision? What is being done to ensure that all these wonderful things that you get to talk about in your meetings are actually supervised much better? And there's better implementation. What's being done?
Yes, supervision calls upon everyone, starting with the MPs whose job is actually legislate and provide an oversight. And they've been doing that. So that's why out of their supervision and what you call look, they were able to look there and see that, no, it's not going the right way, and that's why they came with the policies. And so now we're implementing that. We want to have a balanced development. That's why we are having the industrialization not only in the central, that every part of the country must have that. Yes. And then in the absence of minimum wage, we have had to say
that's another big one.
That's why we have had to say that, yes, your top jobs, the creme de la creme, 70% of that has to be given to Ugandans. So we've started implementing that. And at the time of, this is so easy to supervise and catch. Because when they come to get the incentives from you, then you don't give them. Yeah. So you review the incentives. Yeah. So we keep on reviewing that, and remember that we do that annually. And that's why you're seeing that kind of act is going down, if not has gone completely out. Yes. But in one or two occasions, you still see them bringing. And then we also had to put a charge, which is like an impediment for you to bring the expatriate in, because we want knowledge transfer. Yeah. So we have had to put the price for them to bring in expatriates. I agree with them that they need to bring expatriates in the beginning to do skilling and doing knowledge transfer. They need it. I do it myself in my businesses because you will not get that cream talent or skill. This is because what you're doing is premium and it's never been done in the country. And so you look for that skill set, you'll not find it. So you just need to get an expatriate.
The knowledge from the expatriates.
The knowledge from the expatriate. He comes and skills your people, and then you'll be able to move to the next tier. So if you don't do that, I can assure you it becomes very, very difficult for every person doing business. Remember, the one who is doing business is putting his eyes on return on investment. because they don't do business out of emotions, not because they love Uganda so much that they come to do business in Uganda. No, they actually want to get return on investment.
Which is true.
And so they will come and look for skills. They're looking for profit. The number one decision of an investor is, where do I get profit?
Yeah.
So I'm not going to come to Uganda. I'm not a citizen, first and foremost. And I come to that country, and I just come to say, no, I'm doing charity. Let me give. Let me get those mediocres who can come. They don't know. I'll come and spend 1 year, 2 years training them. That is done by NGOs, who actually charity organization. They do it for charity. But these people are not here for charity. So we have to appreciate the fact that they're not here for charity, that therefore we give them a room for them to be able to get the skill set they want, but also condition them to train in Ugandans so that the Ugandans can be able to be capable to do these jobs for them. And then they send back the expatriate and show to them the disadvantage of having an expatriate doing the work. Because that means that you have to provide them tickets once in a year, you have to provide accommodation, but whereas if you appointed a Ugandan, he doesn't need, or she doesn't need a ticket to go back to their village. They don't need accommodation. They'll be probably coming from their homes.
So in other words, it actually improves their ROI.
Exactly.
Yes? So this is something. Why is it that most Ugandans actually down there, down in the street, actually feel they're excluded? I'll give you excluded from actually this particular, the skillings and all this, so that they can tap into that. I'll give you an example.
I can assure you, nobody is going to get you from your bed. Nobody. So if you're a Ugandan out there,
yes,
and you want to be sleeping in your bed and say, oh, for me, I'm just excluded, you'll stay in your exclusion.
How?
You have to get out.
Are they announced? Are these positions?
They are written on the media. They advertise on radio stations.
And then
they advertise.
The exclusion about it comes into play, whereby you get to find out that just select few are taken for the petroleum training. Select few are taken.
I can assure you, they advertise in the paper.
Yeah, but by the time all that happens, you find they've already been filled.
No. That is an assumption. I can assure you, it is an assumption. I can beat this argument like this, and I tell you, out of my own experience, I came all the way from West Nile, okay, as a student, and passed through Kampala, went to Mukono, Uganda Christian University. The day I decided that I need to get a job, you know what I did? I didn't wait for UBC to advertise it anywhere. I walked from school, sacrificed a lecture that day, and walked to UBC, knocked at their offices. When I arrived at the checkpoint, they're all looking at this skinny young girl from the school, and then, what are you coming here to do? I'm like, I want to see the station manager. Yeah. And they said, oh, you want to see the station manager? Do you have an appointment? I said, yes. Even when I lied. But I knew that I wanted to pass through. That was the only way.
Are we lying now?
No. I mean, you have to survive, learn how to survive.
Yes.
Because you see, if you come to this gate and you're going to ask that you want to come to Anite's office, there's this person who feels a boss at the checkpoint.
Going to stop you, yes.
And they'll stop you and say, no, you cannot go, you're on an appointment, you have to show this. It's a public office. I must not ask for an appointment to go to a public office.
So what you're saying is many Ugandans are so laid back.
Let me finish my point.
Yeah.
I walk there, entered this office. The lady, because she knows Madame Bonaban, she knew that she is a public officer. Yeah. I can assure you, she didn't ask me, did you have an appointment? What have you come here to do? She didn't. She told me, how can I help you, young lady? And I said, I need a job. I said, you need a job. What can you do? I said, I can speak on the radio. Can't you hear? I can speak, madam. Yes. Give me an interview. Bring your radio recorder and record
and try me now.
She tried me out and immediately said, tomorrow you start working. Be here and you start working.
Take a quick break and we'll be right back after this message.